Good evening. Welcome to Glendora Perspective. I'm one of the potted plants, Diane Michelson.
I'm Lois Shade.
The second potted plant.
Well, I won't admit to that.
We have
a guest tonight.
Aura.
Yes. We have a special guest tonight, Mike Garcher. He's been with us several times in the past. Fire expert, we call him. He emailed me this article. At 2 a.m. one Sunday last month, Altadena resident Neil Dougherty was awakened by loud noises. I hear a large dog suddenly barking furiously for 5 or 10 minutes, he said. Suddenly the barking turned into a howl. I thought to myself, boy, that sounds ominous. And it turned out to be very ominous, didn't it, Mike?
Yep. Somebody had a cougar in their backyard.
And it took the dog.
Yeah.
Oh my
dog.
goodness.
Yeah. And they said this was a relatively small one. They don't think it was a particularly large one. We've heard about people out on hikes, walks, things like this that sometimes get attacked.
Right.
And the problem is, as the article points out later on, about 100 mountain lions are euthanized, the polite term, every year in California. And the reason they have to kill them is basically because they're territory animals. And if you try to put them in another area like you do with bears and other animals, they'll just come right on back.
And why do we have to put them in other areas?
Well,
for developers?
Yeah, the problem is the developments are up there, getting closer and closer to their habitat. It's very dry up there now, and so the animals are coming down to get to people's hot tubs.
Let's show our little helicopter ride that we took. This will show you exactly how dry some of our hillsides are. And this particular area that we flew over was the northeast section out by Mull, Gordon, and NJD. NJD. It has lots of water down in the valleys, but I'm sure that water is not as plentiful as it was. As you can see, that the housing is beginning to intrude into the hillside areas, and that's what's causing the wildlife to come down into the areas and kind of start going through garbage cans and looking for water.
Now this is the color photograph you're looking at.
Yeah, this is
all that brown in there doesn't look like much, but it's a torch.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tinder dry, and you can see that encroachment crawling up into the hillsides. Right. People are going to wonder why they have animals in their backyard, and that's why.
We have the bear visit almost nightly now.
Do you?
He doesn't visit just us, all the neighbors.
That's good, Callie. We'll save the rest for later.
She's teasing us with this helicopter trip.
A little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah. Now, I want to get into...
But Mike has a proposal.
Okay, let's hear this.
Okay.
Very important.
The thing that I've been discussing with fire agencies, including U.S. Forest Service, LA County Fire, and also with wildlife groups like Quail Unlimited and some of the other organizations that support wildlife, is that we put dip tanks, which are what the helicopters use to refill their tanks when they're fighting a fire, up in the wilderness areas, far enough away from civilization that they're able to keep the animals up there rather than having them come down into the developments, and also provide the animals with a water supply so that they don't have to keep coming down and jumping in people's hot tubs, attacking their pets.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so you have a couple of photos there of what some of these would look like.
Let's show this
That's
photo.
a helicopter that's dumping into a dip tank. That's one way that you could refill them.
And how much does that dip tank hold?
Dip tanks can hold any amount, but the ones I'm proposing to be 3,000 to about 6,000 gallons, which would be substantial because some organizations already have small 500-gallon tanks up there at a couple of spots.
Now, when that's loaded up, a truck is available to come in and refill it?
Yep, they can do it from helicopter, or they can refill it from a water tender, so you could have a regular run.
They look very small. But they're
compared to,
reduced in size because of the size of the helicopter.
Yeah, and in this case, this shows first how you can fill them from a water tender, and then below how a fire engine could come up and reload with water from the tank. And this would be a boon for firefighters because instead of having to worry about running out of water, they would have a supply that would be right there, which could be easily refilled from basically a bucket brigade of water tenders that could come up.
Now you don't know where these were taken, but for instance around here, what is the closest place to refill? Would that be Pudding Stone?
Yeah, Pudding Stone would be one. They would probably go up to Morris Dam for some of the helicopters, but typically they've got a helitack base, which is a spot which they've cleared off that they can drop the helicopter right there and then run a water tender or a fire engine or something up to refill them from those.
Very good.
Yeah. Then this is one where Erickson Sky Crane is pulling the water out of a dip tank. It's using a snorkel to fill up before it goes out and drops a couple thousand gallons.
Do we know how long it takes them to refill?
Wouldn't take long. It would just be a matter of having a relay of trucks available. Once a fire broke out in an area, the initial attack crews could go up there and they could use the water that was there, and then they would presumably have water tenders on the way while they were up there using the water that was available.
How long does it take the helicopter to fill? Do you know?
Doesn't take very long, especially if you got something as big as one of these
It
Ericssons.
just sucks it right up.
Yep.
Amazing.
Keep an eye on your swimming pool.
And this is a very graphic.
This is the Los Padres National Forest, which has had about 400,000 acres that is burned over the two fires, the Day Fire last year, the Zaca Fire this year, which they're still finishing up on. So this is what it used to look like. This is what the burn areas look like now. Today, it's the Los Padres. Tomorrow, it could be the Angeles, right up here.
Right, and we
have Glendora.
We have so many fires coming up around, people forget now that it's starting to cool off a little bit, but around Thanksgiving, which is right around the corner, we have fires.
Yep, and the winds will come. When the Santa Anas get here, then the fires will start up.
Right.
Yeah.
You've had discussions with the fire departments. Have they expressed any interest in this at all?
In fact, I talked to the guy over at Van Nuys Airport who works for LA County Fire, Captain Gilson. He's one of the captains that they have over there who maintains the Erickson aircraft, takes care of what they need and so forth, and also the dip tank maintenance and so forth for their helibases. And so he was interested in the idea. They're non-committal until they see something that's really concrete with costs and things of this sort, but they were encouraged by the prospect of it. I've also talked to U.S. Forest Service, San Dimas Research Center over here in San Dimas. I talked to their aviation head, Carl Banbarger, and he was saying it has merit. He says this idea does have merit. So he says, don't expect us to be able to support you financially, though, because we're stretched thin. And that's the same thing that Nancy Sandberg, who's the wildlife biologist for Angeles National Forest, said. She says, this is a great idea. She says it's long overdue, but she says we don't have any money to fund it. So she says you can propose all these great ideas, but we don't have anything that we can back you up with financially on it, so you're pretty much on your own. So basically what they're saying is they will give you the thumbs up or thumbs down on the ideas, but they won't be able to give you anything substantial to help.
That's a shame.
These are fiberglass, so they're probably just put together in a factory.
Yep.
Just along the little line that they assemble things.
And who thought of
How
this?
long would it take to put these together, do you think?
Wouldn't take long because typically companies like Foscheck, which provides the retardant for many of the aircraft fighting fires, will just go up there with a team and they'll set these things up, or the folks from the LA County Fire, whoever has to set it up, U.S. Forest Service, depends on whose jurisdiction it is, they can roll out there and have these things set up fairly quickly.
Now, who thought of this, and what do you think the cost is to make
Cost
one?
for a 3,000 gallon tank is going to be around $1,700. For 6,000 gallons, about $2,880. So we're
It
talking.
doesn't sound
About the
extravagant.
same size, cost as a spa.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. And the thing is, how much does your house cost?
right.